Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Garvey, and I'm the proud Director of Student Activities at Justice High School. This is my 19th year at Justice. I want to welcome everyone to our Spring Meet the Coaches Night. We're very excited about our spring season, and tonight you will get the opportunity to meet and hear from our coaches who are leading all of our wonderful programs. We hope that you will take this opportunity to seek out ways to support our teams and student athletes through our Athletic Booster Club and by volunteering for any needs that our coaches may have. As you may have seen, with 10 sports containing multiple levels, our spring season is a busy time of the year with multiple events going on daily and weekly. I would like to start by introducing our athletic department staff. I feel very lucky to work with such a dedicated, supportive, and professional team. All of our athletic teams are supported by Administrative Assistant Miss Debbie O'Rourke, Assistant Director of Student Activities Greg Weisbecker, Assistant Director of Student Activities Monica White. Also an integral part of our department are certified athletic trainers who work daily to keep our athletes healthy and when injured, safely return to play. You will get the chance to hear from them in the next few minutes. Behind the scenes, our athletic boosters work very hard to not only promote our athletic programs, but also to provide much needed funds to operate. Our athletic boosters are led by the unbelievably supportive and ultimate volunteer, Ms. Jane Cheek. Ms. Cheek has volunteered for many, many years with the PTSA, Performing Arts, and within our athletic programs. However, Ms. Cheek, currently leading the athletic boosters, no longer has a student at Justice. Therefore, she is eagerly seeking someone to hand the reins off to. She has promised full support and guidance. She is supported on the board by Ashley White, Jenny Collins, and Rachel Gardell. I can't thank them enough for the endless support and time that they spend supporting our efforts. As some of you might already know, FCPS athletic programs receive very little funding from the county. The overwhelming majority of funds must be raised by the individual schools. The Athletic Booster Club meets around the second Tuesday of every month, currently virtually. We encourage you to join us for these meetings to get involved and stay involved and help us grow and hear monthly about all things Justice Athletics. So what does the FCPS pay for? They pay for transportation, the officials, our coaches' stipends, and a small portion of the reconditioning of safety equipment such as helmets. What does the individual school pay for? Everything else. And as you might be able to imagine, that is a lot. How does the school raise money for these programs? Through ticket sales and Booster Club donations. That brings us back to the Booster Club. Currently, their main source of revenue that they donate to the athletic department comes from concession stand sales at our events. This is where all of you come in. They need your help. If everyone volunteered just a time or two or more, life for our boosters would be much easier. Unfortunately, there have been times over the past few years that we have not been able to open our concession stand due to a lack of volunteers. Each time we don't open, we lose money. Here's a snapshot of concession revenue over the past few years. A couple of things that might jump out at you. Number one, COVID crushed us. Number two, the fall is the majority money maker for our programs. Large events like football require large amounts of volunteers. And you are open and welcome to volunteer for any sport activity, as all of the money that is raised goes to all of our programs. Does not matter what event is being run. And number three, and specific to the spring, our revenue potential, if you look at 2018-2019, and specific to the spring, is awesome with so many events going on. However, for whatever reason, the last few years, post-COVID, have been challenging with regards to getting volunteers. We ask that you help change that. Our concession sign-up information is available everywhere on our website, on our link tree, in our weekly newsletters, and on our social media. Please take the time to sign up and volunteer. Next, we shift to talk a little bit about student athlete eligibility. What does it take to be a high school athlete? High school athletics in Virginia are governed by the Virginia High School League. As such, we must make sure that all of our athletes are in compliance with VHSL eligibility rules. There are actually 13 eligibility categories, but we will touch on just a few that we see our most issues with. All athletes must have a VHSL physical on file with the school and complete online registration. All students must meet academic requirements, which means they must be enrolled in at least 5 classes per credit during their season. They must pass at least 5 classes per credit the preceding semester for spring sports or the preceding year for fall and winter sports. Next, they must be a bona fide student, which simply means enrolled in the school in which they participate and be in good standing with the school. Just last week, we met with all of our spring student athletes to discuss athletic department and school expectations. This discussion included sportsmanship, grades and eligibility, class attendance, and class expectations, SR&R, among other small topics. The VHSL has placed a big focus on sportsmanship, as evidenced by their strengthening of policies and penalties. In 2022, they passed a new policy with regards to hate speech and ethnically or racially insensitive speech. We stress this policy with our students because, number one, we find it a very important policy. Next, we also are concerned with how students use words that can be perceived by a referee as derogatory. However, and unfortunately, some students use these words in common conversation with each other. This, in turn, unintentionally sometimes punishes those for who the rule is in place to protect. So we stress with our students to be very careful about the words that they choose to use in daily life and while participating in high school athletics. As seen in these slides, the sportsmanship violations that enter into this area and that involve fighting or aggressive behavior carry heavy consequences, and rightfully so. At Justice High School, we believe in fostering a positive and respectful environment for all participants and spectators at our athletic events. We strive to create a space where athletic competition is celebrated for the development of skills, sportsmanship, and teamwork. To ensure this environment, we expect all parents and fans to demonstrate exemplary behavior. Treat all players, coaches, officials, opposing teams, and fellow spectators with courtesy and respect. Respect the decisions of game officials and refrain from questioning or criticizing their calls. Be mindful of the integrity of the competition and avoid interfering with the game or engaging in disruptive behavior. Cheer enthusiastically and positively for your team and not against our opponents or the officials. By working together, we can create a supportive and encouraging atmosphere for all involved in our high school athletic program. We thank you for your cooperation in making our events a positive experience for everyone. Should you have any concerns or questions for our coaches, please feel free to reach out at an appropriate time. Immediately before or after a game is not an ideal time. Competition breeds emotions, and emotions can lead to challenging communication. A common method is adhering to our 24-hour rule, having a waiting period to allow cooler heads to prevail. Should you have an immediate concern at an event, please see any administrator, athletic staff member, or our game managers. All of our on-campus games are ticketed events. Typically, the gates open 30 to 45 minutes before the scheduled start time. Regular season games are $5 per entry. As an FYI, all of our tennis matches and our softball games at home are not ticketed as they take part in a Park Authority property. We do sell pack passes, which act as season tickets and are good for entry into all events all year. We have reduced the pack price for a second time going into the spring season. Currently, a pack pass costs $20 for students and $40 for adults. Once again, these passes are good for entry into all regular season games and all sports for the rest of the 2023-2024 school year. At this time, I would like to turn the presentation over to Mr. Corey Berg, our head athletic trainer.
Hello, my name is Corey Berg. Along with Danielle Tomlinson, we are the certified athletic trainers at Justice High School. Athletic trainers, or ATs for short, are licensed healthcare providers that specialize in the prevention, examination, diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation of emergent, acute, or chronic injuries and medical conditions. In other words, we're the people who take care of our athletes when they get hurt. The athletic training room is open for a minimum of 2 hours on most school days. We're often here later depending on how full the practice schedule is. On game days, an AT is present until the conclusion of the last home event. We've treated almost 750 injuries and had over 2,400 individual athlete encounters so far this school year, so we don't call home for every scratch and bruise, but if the injury is significant, you'll definitely be hearing from us. If your child needs to see a doctor, we kindly ask that you bring in a note so we know what's going on. Our goal is to return athletes to their sport as soon as possible following an injury, but obviously safety is our #1 priority. Generally, an athlete should demonstrate the ability to play in a practice setting before returning to games. Returning to play following a concussion requires a 5-stage return to play progression as well as resolution of all symptoms. You might be surprised to hear that we don't receive any funding from FCPS for athletic training supplies. We rely primarily on our fundraising efforts and generous donations from our community to purchase supplies. Our biggest fundraiser is our Sports Physicals Night, which is on June 4th this year. Please save the date. Appointment registration will open in April. If you'd like to support the athletic training program at Justice, you can make a monetary donation through the Justice Athletic Boosters, or you can purchase needed supplies through our Amazon wish list.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berg. Before I pass things off to our coaches tonight, I would encourage you to take note of all the ways that we share information from the athletic department and boosters. Our athletic website, justicehssports.com, is your go-to for schedules, announcements, and useful links. Additionally, each week we send out an athletics and activities newsletter, typically on Mondays. We include the weekly schedule, general announcements, upcoming dates, and a ton of other useful information. We are also very active on Twitter, or X, and Instagram. Both of these are excellent ways for us to share immediate updates, especially when we face inclement weather. All of these links can be found on our link tree at Justice Wolves Activities. Thank you again for coming tonight and taking an active part in your student-athletes' high school athletic participation experience. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out to the activities department or your individual coaches with any questions or concerns. Finally, we once again encourage you to get involved by joining our Athletic Booster Club. As you can see on the screen, there's a QR code. There's also an email address for our president, and our boosters are available tonight in the main foyer.